Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hoon Dok Hae with Reverend John Adamedes. We start with a bow to our Heavenly Parent and true parents. Kyumbe. Paro. And let's recite the family pledge in Korean and in English. 가정 만세. 전일국 주인 우리 가정은 찬사랑을 중심하고 매일 주제적 전산세계와 대산적 지산세계 통일을 위해 정신적 발전을 촉진할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 5. Our family, the owner of Chongeul-guk, pledges to strive every day to advance the unification of the spirit world and the physical world as subject and object partners by centering on true love.
Can I please ask Mr. Arai to pray?
I offer prayer. Our dear Heavenly Parent, our true parent, good morning. This day we celebrate a special day today, true parents' 62nd holy wedding anniversary. World leader, our representative, traveled to Korea at the time of a difficult corona situation, and having a historical time, according to heavenly protocol, our leaders, respected leaders, they giving a offering, sincere bow to our true parent. Your providence, your creation of human being as your sons and daughter, as your image, as your branches, as your son and daughter, and you give us incredible blessing. We can be with your love and growing through your son and daughter and husband and wife, and become two parents, all with your love, and to create a heavenly kingdom on earth and also spiritual one. After the fall and incredible your suffering, also human being, and the Satan's lineage and life and love, and your restoration. It took a certain time, many individual, family, nation, and you prepared for this. Jesus, and finally we know time of the two parent. For this day to realize it was not easy one. Many Korean people suffered, early Christian people suffered, even spiritual Christian people suffered, and also story of Temonim, and also the really heavenly parents really prepare for true mother. And also early members, even the true children suffered, true parents suffered, and also behind of heavenly parents suffered for this. But finally realize this really happened this history original your idea, original your sincere your prayer, realize this to parents through the holy marriage. So today we gather again here the Hoon Dok time, dear brothers and sisters, and we really thank everyone since your heart and prayer dedication at this day, historical time, and we are sending our heart to parents and our prayer. Thank you, especially today, special time. We offer our name and my name, Yoshikawa, who is Center Blessed Family, Ajub.
Thank you very much, Mr. Arai. And I'd like to welcome Reverend John this morning to share with us.
Yeah, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to our Hoon Dok Hae this morning. And I've prepared some words from Father, as it says there, Father's life in his own words, endurance and forgiveness. Not sure when they were originally said, but as it says there, they were republished by the International Headquarters Mission on the 7th of September 2021. So I want to go through these words, and it's about the early times. So let's have a look at them. So this portion of Father's life story opens with him speaking about his experience beginning 3 months later, October 1944. So 3 months later than this photo here. So this is how Tokyo looked when Father left, and that was July 1944, and the New York Times reported that Japanese militarists have named General Abe Nobuyuki, one of their strongest men, as the Governor General of restless Korea. So this is 3 months later in October, and Father was talking about that experience when he was incarcerated in a Gyeonggi provincial jail. Gyeonggi province surrounds the city of Seoul and straddles the modern day division between North and South Korea. So from here on, Father's words describing what was happening there. And remember, this his whole talk is about endurance and forgiveness. And so Father says, I was routinely in and out of jail, even when I was a student. I maintained courage in the face of torture under the Japanese. I am a man with much experience in that area. Their torture methods were very harsh. If young people these days were caught and tortured the way it was being done at that time, they wouldn't be able to control their bowels and would confess to having done things that they had not. I don't know if anybody here has ever experienced torture. I certainly have not had the type of torture that Father endured and went through. I'm sure I would have said anything, just like Father said there, be unable to control their bowels and would confess to anything so that they would just stop hurting. But Father, really could endure torture. While Korea was under Japan, I spent time in prison. I suffered lashings and water torture from Japanese detectives from the upper division of the special branch. I went through all manner of treatment. I was whipped until my entire body was black and blue, and I bled enough to fill several bowls. I was kicked in the belly by soldiers with their boots on. 2 people held my arms while 2 other people stamped on my stomach. What happens to the skin of the belly when you are tortured like that? Does it tear? Does it burst? After such an experience, go and sit on the toilet, then try to stand up. It was so painful. I worked very hard to rid Korea of the Japanese emperor, and for that I was tortured in prison. Try that and see what it is like. They hit me here with wooden sticks. At that time, they wore leather shoes in the army. It was with these hobnail boots that they stamped on me. People who haven't experienced this will never know what it is like. You can certainly get a sense of the pain Father experienced. Hobnail boots are boots that have hard knobs at the end, like nails. It's like I just can't imagine the pain that Father experienced, but he went through because of our Heavenly Parent. No matter what was inflicted on me, even when I was given electric shocks, I did not speak. I would fight it thinking, hit me, see which is bigger, your club or my determination. Throughout the day, I was beaten with clubs. I thought, let's see how I do, and endured the situation. Even when I was throwing up blood and bleeding from all 10 fingers, I was praying, how glorious it would be if my blood could represent the blood from 10 nations and be given as a sacrificial offering in place of the blood of 10 peoples. I went through torture for nearly 12 hours until I was vomiting blood. There was a torture that drove a person insane in 15 minutes. I can never forget it. Though I was tortured in that way for 12 hours, I miraculously survived. Once I was questioned for 14 hours, going through torture so harsh that when it was over, I couldn't crawl more than 20 feet. I was resuscitated several times from near death. Though this process was repeated again and again, I didn't open my mouth. So Father, to be able to have a mind, to be able to pray, such a way, to think of others, to think his blood can be the offering, for 10 nations. When I remember that the strongest pain I ever experienced was when I had a kidney stone, and it was the first time I had pain where I couldn't think, I couldn't think anything. I was just, the pain was completely consuming me. But Father, I'm sure his pain was so much greater than that, and he could pray, and to pray to console God with words, that his blood, to me it's just the same as Jesus on the cross. He gave his life of his own accord. No one could do it, and Father's doing the same. He's giving his blood by his own choice. even though he's beaten. So the sound of my screams from bloody torture in prison was the sound of someone searching for the highest place where God's will could be realized. Unless you have been to the summit of screaming, you cannot complain. I think it's too easy, can complain. I remember working at Balmain Hospital for a couple of years when I was a late teenager, early 20s. And we would have people come in, with really small injuries, even just like a piece of wood stuck in their finger, and they would be screaming because the pain's too much. And then we would have someone that's had a serious car accident, and they had to remove, their arm or leg, and their pain was so much more. But I remember the ones with the greater pain didn't complain. The ones with the least pain complained the most. And so, Father says, unless you have been to the summit of screaming, you cannot complain. At a place where I could speak with God about fundamental things, I called Father and prayed, God, my blood is different from that of people of the past. I am not the kind of man who vomits blood, collapses and dies while complaining to you with a heart of betrayal. Please don't sympathize with me. Rather, sympathize with this nation and with all humanity. Please open a way with me in the lead for all people to survive. This was my way of life. Go ahead and beat me. Is your love for Japan greater than my love for Korea? In this way, I put up a worthy fight. So Father, I'm always amazed that he's able to console God, truly, sincerely console God while he is suffering. He doesn't want to have our Heavenly Parent suffer anymore because of our mistakes. So he's saying, go ahead and beat me. Is your love for Japan greater than my love for Korea? In this way, I put up the worthy fight. When I was incarcerated under the Japanese, I was grateful to have entered prison rather than being in a position of a traitor who betrays his own nation. I thought that it would be good if my country could be liberated through my own death rather than my being saved. This is our traditional way of thinking in the Unification Church. I came to understand the Korean people's misery, how badly they were treated through being imprisoned in Japan. It was all training for me. Through walking with my companions along the course of suffering, torture, and shedding tears in prison, I finally understood Korea's miserable situation. While I was incarcerated, I felt a sense of duty. Someone must liberate the people. Prison became a great teacher for me. My time in jail was a time to set a cornerstone in the providence of restoration that no one can destroy. And I think the ability for true parents to have the holy marriage in 1960 came on the foundation that Father paid the price of indemnity through literal blood, sweat and tears, and come from torture from the satanic realm. And he said this was a training. He came to realize that someone must liberate the people. And it became a great teacher. So really, Father's whole heart and motivation really is to save the world. Before being tortured, you should shed blood first. This will help protect you from dying. When someone tortures you, he will trample on some part of you, your belly or that area of your body. In order to bear that, you have to give yourself an enema in advance, getting it all out first. And so Father's giving, I hope we never find ourselves in a position where we get tortured. But he's saying, well, you need to do a couple of things. You've got to prepare your body. If you do, you've got to bleed somewhere, because they're going to burst something. So if you've got less blood, I suppose that helps the bursting be less intense. And an enema is a process of removing the contents of your bowel. So all of that comes out. So if you can get rid of all of the contents of your bowel, then that makes it easier to undergo torture. If Father's talking from experience. You must create an outlet to allow the blood to flow. You could bite your lips or the flat of your tongue. If you bleed beforehand, the torture won't destroy you. It won't be as explosive. It won't tear you apart. God is surely the King of wisdom. I saved many people by teaching them this. People like me do not follow a comfortable path. We do not go the easy way. Even though I have faced death many times, I have always overcome it. I have crossed over the point of death several times. Even so, I risked my life because of my sense of responsibility toward my comrades and my faith in them. So in prison, I fought alone. I didn't speak even when prison officials threatened to kill me. Once I decided to say nothing, I said nothing. When the lives of 100 people depended on me, how could I speak? I would rather have cut out my tongue. I didn't tell them anything. I decided that I wouldn't speak. Beat me. Even though you beat me, it's my responsibility to win over you. Even though they went through all 4 legs of a desk, breaking each one into pieces from the force of the blows they administered, and making my body turn black all over from the bruising, I didn't talk. So, that's quite amazing. I mean, the leg of a desk, solid wood, and to be broken into pieces over someone's back. I mean, that's it's incomprehensible, the amount of pain. And Father wouldn't talk. He wouldn't give up his family, his friends, his followers. He didn't talk. He developed and displayed immense endurance, immense perseverance during those times. I didn't talk even when I was beaten with wooden poles. A man must remain loyal. Once a man has made a promise, he must keep it, even though it may destroy him. When a day of torture passes by like this, the day remains as a sorrowful one, but at the same time, unforgettable. So Father is really explaining the depth of loyalty here. You make a promise, you keep it, even if you're tortured. How easy I think sometimes, that I've broken a promise or changed my mindset so to make the promise not being fulfilled or not so bad. Often we convince ourselves that it's okay, to change your mind. The Father's saying, if you're going to be loyal, you can't. You don't, even if you die. And so Father is being loyal to our Heavenly Parent and is being loyal to all his followers. I still remember the name of the man who tortured me in Tokyo, even now. No matter how much he tortured me, I did not give him any information. I said, I will not talk. And that was the end of it. Try it for 365 days if you like. Even if I was unconscious and just woke up a few times, I would say, what's going on? Let's sleep a little more. I would say such things and make jokes. I want to sleep a little more. Why are you guys waking me up? In this way, even though they were inflicting torture on me, they became my friends. I mean, to really have the mind that the person who's abusing you, you can create a relationship that they become their friend, your friend, while they're actually torturing you. That's quite amazing. I mean, I knew Father forgave everyone, but when I was reading this, I didn't realize that he forgave as they did it, not sometime later, but to even make effort to be a friend with them. That's it's really a whole different relationship to God, and a whole different expression of what it really means to be a person of integrity, a person that really keeps their promise. And Father made a promise to God, and he will do it. Mother made a promise to God, and also a promise to Father, and she will do it. So we should have that same determination. We should have the same determination that when we make a promise, that we actually complete it. And our promise is to help the world understand about our Heavenly Parent, about our true parents, and about the real necessity of the blessing to finally end satanic dominion and bring about a one world family. Whoever tortured me, I said, ha, that doesn't hurt. Do it like that. Do it that way. That's all I said. They had not one bit of satisfaction. If they could have just gotten one word out of me. You may make some official statement, but once I am on the stand, I will not keep silent. That's what I said. If I am a real man, I must do as my heart dictates. I am that kind of man. So Father's saying, he's a real man doing what his heart dictates. In other words, he's following his conscience. He's following his heart's desire to, and acknowledging the fact that he really is, the Son of God by following the mind and the heart 100%. I would have been an excellent investigator. When Japan ruled Korea in front of those smart prosecutors and judges, I acted as if I was stupid, and I succeeded in fooling them. When they were recording my case, I acted as if I were very dull. They said, how can a person like him be the one with all that responsibility? He is like a kindergarten pupil. So everything worked out. They were unable to dig up the most important information. They fabricated a report and made it official. That was my strategy. Sometimes one has to do such things. So after the March 19 independence uprising, Japan replaced its Governor General of Korea with Baron Sato Makoto, who quietly initiated a great upsurge in police presence, better intelligence gathering, and stricter control in the independence movement. Simultaneously, he conspicuously built more schools, allowed a great increase in civic groups, and relaxed restrictions on non-threatening activities such as Korean language newspapers. Pictured above are some members of the Korean Language Society, formed as a result of that policy in December 1921. The society published a journal, assisted needy scholars, and produced a dictionary. Policies later changed, however. In late 1942, dozens of Korean Language Society members were arrested, among them lexicographer Lee Young-jae, top right, and journalist Han Jin, bottom right, died in prison before Korea's liberation in 1945. So the Korean independence movement was basically a Korean language school or society that was allowed under the Governor General of Korea, the Japanese Saito Makoto. And so it was through that the independence movement flourished. And Father said that during a 40-year period, Japan tried to rid Korea of all her cultural traditions, even her language. I was imprisoned by the Japanese during that time. The government also imprisoned and oppressed many other Koreans. To be called a god, you had to become a patriot. To be called by God, you had to become a patriot, a devoted son or daughter, and a citizen devoted to society. Patriots are people who have resolved to offer themselves to the nation. Such people are needed for God's providence. When God establishes the foundation for the providence and expands it, Satan always opposes him. Thus, as a young man, I prepared myself for the public life to come. So from 1920 onwards, God was already prepared. That is when I was born. I have struggled to resolve life's hitherto unsolved problems, to reveal the heavenly way, and to deal with all the problems related to religion and to love. I worked in this way until the time of Korea's liberation. How old was I at that time? I was 26 then. So Father was 26 years old during that independence liberation movement, and his relatives were part of that language school, and also as we know, the independence movement that eventually succeeded. So a few more slides, but that's okay. I couldn't say anything about the principle you are now studying. This was partly because God had told me not to, and partly because I had promised God that I would begin my work immediately after Korea was liberated. One person alone cannot accomplish God's will. There have to be partners to work with, and that's us. So Father, his suffering course really is the price that he paid for the liberation of Korea, and also for the right to be able to become true parents in 1960. Even though they may lock me up in prison, they can't do the same to my mind or my philosophy. Hit me. If you beat me, you are striking the foundation God laid for me and the course I have walked along the road God has paved. Let's see how strong my heart is when it comes to loving my enemies. Hit me if you want to hit me. Do you think I will hate you? I've been severely beaten, vomiting blood. I was beaten in a place of the human race with its bitterness accumulated through history. They would whip me and then I would forget it. How wonderful it is for someone to go through such a thing and be able to say, God, please forgive them. We should go through that. To do so, we have to practice self-abnegation. Then it becomes simple. So it means we have to have 100% totally forget about ourselves to be able to really forgive others. In the days when Korea was under Japanese control, there was a man named Kurumahata, a name I've never forgotten. Though we were taught to love our enemies, I would have kicked him without hesitation when he was stamping on me and hitting me. Then I thought, hey, you, fine, do as you want. I will endure this even though it may push me to the point of death. I didn't treat him as my enemy, since it was my responsibility to pray for blessings for others. I looked for something in them that could make them worthy to receive blessing. In my prison cell, that was what I studied. Since men have a conscience, in the morning when everyone else had gone out, the torturers would apologize. That is human quality. When we see that, we can see that people everywhere are the same. They can't deceive their consciences. Yeah, so this is really, Father's heart of forgiveness. He couldn't hate people, even though he had all the right to. That was not the way to save humanity, because we all have a conscience, and it's amazing that when that people were gone, only him and the torturers, that they would apologize, but then they would still come back and do it the next day. I think this goes a bit longer, but maybe another time I can finish it. I want to stop here and just say that Father is truly our Messiah, the one that's paid the price for our sins, just as Jesus on the cross did. The Father did it over and over again, and even in the midst of it, have the heart to forgive them, and to go back to that one part that Father said that one person alone cannot accomplish God's will. There have to be partners to work with, and that's the fundamental rule of heaven, is the partnership, and we are the ones that are in this role to be the ones to work with fathers in the spirit world, mothers on earth, and we're working towards building the kingdom. And what do we have to do? We have to take this suffering road. Our suffering is on a whole different level, but we all do suffer, and then to be able to turn it around and to forgive them, and to say to God that we won't let you down. And it's this is the time the world becomes one family under God, and Satan is put back in his place. And this is up to us, because our Father needs us to work with him. Our mother needs us to work with her. And now our mother is in Korea with the leaders, and having this special blessing that's going to happen today. So we are in a really special time, and we're lucky here in Australia to have 4 couples being blessed, and really representing the second gen, the first gen, Nepal and Afghanistan, it's and Myanmar are the other 3 nations. And the day will come when Australia is restored and is one family under God. So thank you for listening, and I hope every one of us really has feels not sad about what I've read, but feels encouraged that we're on the right path, and we need to keep our promise to God and never give up. So thank you, and I'll just stop sharing now. Thank you. Thank you.
John, are you going to organize the groups?
Yes, but you want to announce it?
Oh, sorry, I thought you would. It's a breakout session today, and so Reverend John is going to set it up. Sorry.
All right. Just enter your rooms.
Welcome back, everybody. And I hope you had a good discussion in your groups. We are now I'm going to share the screen and we're going to pray our unison prayer. Aju, aju, aju. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Happy holidays to everybody. I think I need to close the session very, very quickly because we have a pledge service to go to far away from where I am right now. So bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Happy
you,
holidays,
Savannah.
everyone.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
patience,
Savannah.
everybody.